And we're back with AP as we see it, and our very special guest, a friend of the show, one of our syndicated stations during the football season, Michael Butler, host WTLS Montgomery Tallahassee Lindy's Football Report. Hey, Michael, how are you? Welcome to AP as we see it.
Doing well, AP. How are you, sir?
Oh, doing great, Michael. Always great to speak with you. We have a lot of fun, and we're going to have some fun with our audience today. Just some projections of the SEC. We know that's a wild attempt, right? That's a wild endeavor.
Yeah, it's a little tougher than it used to be back when there were 10 teams. You remember back in those days?
Right. Yeah.
The more chances for, teams to do something. 16 or not do much, actually. I mean, when you think about it, you could have a pretty good year and finish seventh.
Right. And plus, you knew the name of the quarterback. Now you have to look at the roster, the scorecard. Yeah. So we'll start off by what excites you about the 2025 SEC football season?
I guess I'm just interested to see the follow-up overall now that we have a new playoff and see how things might be tweaked going forward. I know we got another year of what we have in place, but I'm curious to see who's going to rise to the top. I think last year we saw that maybe the money matters. Ohio State invested. Didn't look like they were going to do much. They got in, and, of course, they won it. So they're one of the big clubs that has the dollars to throw around. I don't know if you heard this past week, but Kirk Cignetti of Indiana, they were in the playoff last year, and they were surprised. Talked about the $40 million clubs. And Ohio State was on that list, obviously, from his own conference, as was Oregon, as was Texas from the SEC.
Right.
It's basically come down to who's got the money to invest in, who's willing to put the dollars up. It used to be who's willing to put the dollars up for the coaches. Now it's who's going to put the money
for the players, right? And also the leadership. Do they have good coaching at those institutions? And they do right now. Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, Kirby Smart at Georgia. So you need the leadership along with the resources. I don't think you could have one without the other. We've seen that through the years of college football where Texas does not have the championships, Alabama does.
Yeah, what a difference of playoff expansion makes. Ohio State, Ryan Day, there were people talking about him to go after they lost to Michigan. Shouldn't have lost to Michigan, right? They were a 500 team last year.
Right.
But it's playoff. That opened the door for them to get in. And it changed everything. And now I see all the lists. Who are the best coaches in college football? And Ryan Day's at the top of the list.
He is.
He had to do once he got there. But it is interesting how the perspectives change.
Yeah, Ryan Day, he had those hiccups. You can have those hiccups now and still be in the playoffs, whereas years past, you're out. You were out, and there was no hope for you. But anyhow, that's the new system, 12 teams. Do you like the 12 teams, Michael? You like 12? You like a different number?
I'm fine with 12. It was going to change. It's getting the right teams in. I don't necessarily care much for the automatic ties to being a conference.
I do not.
It's some conferences are easier in than others. So I would rather we have the old system of just have the committee pick who they think are the best teams. There's always conjecture about whether they got it right or not, but to just automatically put you in based on winning your conference or, and getting that bye, which necessarily I thought last year that might have an impact. It didn't. All those teams that got the byes were knocked out. So, but yeah, I would like to see something change there, and I think it probably will. I think we're probably going to see another expansion down the road. I don't know if it's the next time we make this change that it goes to 16. But it can get kind of heavy. I mean, 32 teams, you think about the NCAA basketball tournament, 64. This is football. It's not basketball. So I don't think
it's not
anything like that. But I can see 4 more teams being let in. Why is that? More games to watch, more money for the folks in the NCAA and all around college football.
Yeah, for sure. I know that with the 16 teams, that automatic qualifying business, why not trust it to the competition? You saw last year the SEC only earned 3 berths to the college football playoff, and I think that was the right number. I don't think there was a 4th team in the SEC, and I've said this many times, but just to discuss it with you, I don't think there was 4 teams in the SEC. So you have a league that says it just means more. We'll prove it.
Well, Alabama was on the bubble, as was South Carolina. Yes. And I know Ole Miss was, I guess, the only team that actually won their bowl game. South Carolina, Alabama lost it. At that point, it's pretty much irrelevant. I don't want to just put everything on that.
Yes.
On kind of
No.
difference. But when I look at Indiana, I brought up Signetti. I mean, much easier road. Clemson lost to two SEC teams, on the front and back end of their schedules. Of course,
Right.
and South Carolina. It needs to, have some merit to your record. And last year it was all about record. So you could put those teams we just mentioned up against some of those teams that were like, wow, are they in there? SMU comes to mind. But, I don't know that that's going to change the theory of it depends on who's on that committee and who gets in or not and how they approach it.
Right. I mentioned that Indiana team. That kind of I was happy for them because they beat everybody. They did beat Michigan, a team that Ohio State lost to at home in Columbus. And now they lost to Ohio State by 23. Well, Tennessee was in the playoffs. They lost by 25. So I was all for Indiana being in the playoffs. Those other teams, I mean, that's the way it worked out. You have to keep, I think, you have to keep the rest of the country involved in this college football. You can't make it a regional sport. I think when you look at the basketball, Michael, remember when they would have a couple of teams from a conference and then it blossomed out to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams. I mean, those teams in the power conferences, they have many, many chances to earn their way. And I say, if you can't have a 500 record, let's say in basketball, I don't know if you should be in the playoffs or have a gripe if you're not in the one of the teams that's selected. And in college football, Alabama, Ole Miss, they had their chances even at the end after the two hiccups.
Sure.
And they couldn't perform and win those ball games. Both were on the road, by the way, Florida and Oklahoma.
Yeah, expansion is, I call them kind of also rans. The debate was easier really when we had four because we're
right.
Team, and they really have something when the resume is good. When you start 4 teams, then you're looking at 2 and 3 teams. And that kind of devalues the season. That's what the guys were worried about when they said, well, we're going to expand this thing. Well, what about the college football regular season? I think the regular season is still pretty good. But you are going to debates of 2 and 3 lost teams who don't have a lot to stand on sometimes when, you should have won against Oklahoma, Alabama. Why did you get beat 24-3 on the road? So those type things.
Oh, yeah. Michael, speaking of rankings, what would you have right now for the top 4 in the SEC? Just a projection. Top 4 teams.
Who's paying the most money? Was it Texas? I think that's what you look at. I don't really know if I've got a number 1, but
yes.
I still believe Georgia because of pretty smart, and I know that they lost their quarterback, and I know that Gunnar Stockton is going to come in and try to pick up where he left off in the SEC championship game when they beat Texas last year. But I would put Texas and Georgia in the top 4. Now, these folks out there, they're thinking that they're clearly the top 2 teams. I don't know that I believe that.
Right.
Curious to see if Alabama can work their way back in under Kalen DeBoer. It is the year 2, and usually that's your you have the transition year. The second year is when you show you're really worth it. A lot of folks are high on Ty Simpson. We haven't seen him. So we're going to see what they can do. I think, after that, it's a free-for-all. There's a lot of possibilities with teams that Florida, we talk about what a difference a game can make. Their back half of the season, it was all but over for Napier. He was out the door. There's no way to get through this. He's got the toughest schedule in the country. And now they're one of the favorites to, be in the playoff. Same thing, South Carolina, both got great quarterback play. So there's a lot of teams, I think, that could be in the top half, as we mentioned, LSU. A lot of talk about Auburn around our parts. It's time for Auburn to do something. And this is the 3rd year now for Hugh Freeze.
Yes.
And he has the same record that his predecessor, Brian Harsin, had through the first 2 years. The same identical record season by season. He survived his 2nd year afterwards. They got to get to a bowl game at least. They've had losing seasons all the way back to the COVID year when they were 6-5 every single year since. Auburn does not expect to be 6-5, 5-6 types years. They expect to be contending for SEC championships. So he's got to take some baby steps at least to get back to having a winning season. There's a lot of opportunities for a lot of these teams. I will put, let's see, we picking the top four? I can't pick the bottom. Okay.
You can do that. Yeah, we'll do that when we come back. Probably, yeah, we're running shorter than the time in this segment, but we can do that for sure.
Joking. I don't like that. Sometimes I have fun picking, the dubious distinctions of the SEC.
I hear you. But anyway, we're going to come back with Michael Butler, host WTLS Montgomery Tallahassee, Lindy's Football Report, and we're going to continue our discussion of the Southeastern Conference and college football. That's our favorite sport, Michael. You and I, for sure. We love college basketball as well, but if we had the choice, it'd be college football. So we're going to be right back after these messages with AP as we see it.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use groceries to go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.